It's C-Doc Again is brought to you by Hackensack Brewing Company and their Imperial Pilsner Auga, which was created in honor of the legendary DJs The Awesome 2. It's also brought to you by Chuck D Spit Slam Record Label Group. The Spit Slam Record Label Group, a Chuck D situation. Catch us on your favorite streaming platform, on Bandcamp, or visit our official web store at spitslamrecords.com. All releases are available digitally or on CD, with select titles available on vinyl and cassette. The Spit Slam Record Label Group. Throwback to the future sound.
It's C-Doc again.
Hey, it's Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Welcome to the show. It's C-Doc again. I got to play my music. There it is in the background. Hope everybody is doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight. Another great episode. Going across the pond with this one. He's our guest tonight is gracious enough to have stayed up super late to join us. But before we get to that, got to introduce my cohorts, my co-conspirators, my comrades in this hip-hop journey. Vashon, what's up? First up, he's got the dopest account on Instagram. If you don't follow him, you're a sucker. You better go right now or go after the show and follow my man, UltraMag7.
Yo, between you and Bobby, man, I don't know. Everybody's a sucker.
Hey, I call it as I see it.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
You know, or like Bobby said, the sucker.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, sucker.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And might I say, not that you've ever slacked on your Instagram job, but man, you've just been like killing it for me personally lately. Just some of the shit you've been putting out. Fantastic.
Thank you. You know what? Every once in a while, I hit like I'm in a groove right now.
Most definitely.
Yeah. A lot of it's most of it's just spontaneous. Like, you know, people don't understand, but it's a nice groove right now. I don't know how long that'll last, but right now it's a groove.
Hey, man. Excuse me. I dig it. But just some of the stuff that you've been putting up lately has had, you know, like sometimes you put stuff up and it's dope. The video's dope, but like I don't quite remember the reference. Like I
right.
do, but it's like, oh, okay, or something like, oh, I never saw this before, but it's still dope. But the stuff you've been putting up lately, I'm just like, oh my god, I remember that. I love this, you know. So,
yeah. All right. Well, thank you. It's Halloween, so I'm trying to keep all week. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's Halloween, right?
Yeah. You know, trying to keep it Halloween themed all week.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Also joining us tonight, he is the president of Rap Station, which is Chuck D's internet radio. He is the man behind Hip Hop Gods. He's been doing it for 77 years now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Flatlines.
77 years. Yeah.
The funk of 77 years.
It only feels like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So,
man. Hello,
Flatlines.
Yeah.
What's happening, brother?
You know, again, I'm just kind of here. I hate to start off again like that, but I'm just kind of here. Yeah. Do we have time? Do we have time to do a couple things?
Of course.
Yeah.
So we can do a couple things.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start with another shout out to Guy at Weaponized Records. They have this new project by Rival Self. It's called Adjust Your Tracking. It is beats and scratch work and all these movie samples that are taken like from VHS tapes.
Wow.
And it is, man, it's dope. It's really, yeah, I've been enjoying it. So
Can I expand on this a little bit?
please.
First of all, we got to talk to Guy. Guy needs to start sending C-Doc some of this stuff. So, Guy,
C-Doc doesn't get anything.
get C-Doc's.
No, that's not true. I got the one because Mike the Hat sent me one. He sent
But you need to have it so when we talk about this, we can, But what I want to say is this is perfect timing for the Halloween season. And you know, Flatline, what it reminds me of? Hubert's album. What is it? The Wave Twisters.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that, but with horror movie themes. Like I talked to Guy and he was like, "Yeah, it's video nasties." I'm like, I thought he was talking about pornography. I'm like, "What's a video nasty?" But that's UK speak, and I'm like, "Oh, horror flicks," and But this is a UK themed show with Blade tonight, so.
Yep.
Shout out to Guy. Shout out to Rival Self, Weaponized Records, and just let them know that this is not in the it's not in the series. Like this is not the mixtape series.
Yeah.
This is a side project, but it's still it's dope. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weaponizedrecords.bigcartel.com.
There you go.
And follow Rival Self too, so you can. Because he's done a couple videos like detailing all the work that's going into it. Like, did you watch the videos he did?
I have not. Not that I haven't had a chance to watch.
Oh, his parents owned like a video store, so that's how he gathers all the stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he's a super nerd with this stuff. So go follow Rival Self to get more info about him.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Good old video store.
Yeah.
Those back in the days.
Back in the days. Shit, I worked at a Blockbuster for a while. So.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. In fact, wait, let me see. See if I can find it quickly. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but only reason I'm bringing it up because I just saw it the other day. See if I can pull it out. Where was it? Wait, hang on. Swear I just had it. And I'm probably not going to find it now because, of course, I'm talking about it. But, oh, yeah, I'm not going to find it. All right. Oh, well.
That's what happens. Oh, we got it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got his Blockbuster card.
Yep. That's my employee card right there, baby.
Wow.
Yep. David C. CSR Snyder, customer service representative. There you go.
You know what? After all this, if I remember, or we can do it offline, I want to tell you a Blockbuster story of what I used to do.
Okay. All right. I am anxious to hear it.
You work there, so you'll find it interesting.
Oh, yeah, of course. But before we get to that, let's talk about video nasties. And no better person to talk about video nasties with than tonight's guest, coming straight out of the UK. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage an MC. I don't know what I was going to say. All right. Blade.
Yeah.
You know what? That's got to be the best introduction I've ever had.
I was going to say it's probably the worst, right? Yes.
No, it's actually the best. I prefer these ones that are just so not choreographed. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Man, that's probably the first one that you thought, man, is our host having a stroke in the middle of my introduction right now? Because that's what it felt like to me.
No, I just like it that it's real. You make a mistake, you carry on. That's all it is.
Straight. Damn straight.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes. Blade, what? All right. Yes, there's my wife. Memory issues? No, I'm just getting ahead of myself. That's all.
You got to deal with it.
Yeah. thank you for being here, and especially because it's super late night, right? We're at home.
Yeah, I mean, if you know anything about being an artist, then you know that we don't have any time restrictions to anything. Like, but where I'm sitting now, when I bought this house, I bought it because of this room. Because first thing I looked at was the garage, and I thought, all right, I'm gonna build my studio there. I looked at about 20 different houses, and this one was just perfect. I thought, you know what, big studio, perfect. And what I liked about it was I visualized no windows, no clock in the room, nothing, no time restrictions. And eventually, you know, I've now turned it into my studio for what I do with the channel, which is Behind Me 521. And there's no windows, and yeah, just no time limits to anything. Just whatever goes, goes.
You can get lost in there very easily. That's cool.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not a word of a lie. I have literally spent 4 days in a row here, slept here, everything, and I'm gonna say it on camera, and pissed in bottles.
We all pissed in bottles.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but not everyone wants to admit to it. I'll admit to it.
No,
Yeah.
At some time in our lives, we have all had to do that. Yes.
Yeah, and I'll say another thing as well. Like this is really important, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the pissing in bottles, right? just because you see me with a big beard and looking scruffy doesn't mean I'm a bum. It just means I'm busy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I've had those.
There you
weeks.
go.
I'm just getting over one of those weeks, actually. So, yep. Or,
Anyway.
I should say months. But yeah. Yeah. Okay. So tell us about the channel since you brought that up.
I mean, you know what? The thing is, everything that I've done, whether it's been on a music journey or on a CD manufacturing journey or whatever, it's always been like, I know my abilities. I know what I can achieve if I put my mind to it. And I understand that sometimes the devil is at play and you get blocked and all kinds of things, but you just carry on because you believe in yourself. With everything that I do, whether it was a musician, so if I was an artist and I was at the peak of my career and I'm in the charts and whatever, when I was doing shows anywhere, I would go and get locals to jump up on stage and do something just so I could show people that, yo, you got talent on your doorstep. It's not like, let's not all hog this for ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's create opportunities for everybody. Then I walked away from the music and I did the CD manufacturing business. And what I did was everybody else was charging double the price that I was charging. So I was stealing all the customers from my competition, but I was giving opportunities to all these other people that basically didn't have £1 a disc to manufacture.
Mm-hmm.
They had 30 pence, 40 pence,
Yeah.
whatever they had. And I created sort of a little area where people knew they could come to me and they would get looked after. And I thought, you know what, with the pandemic coming in, I kind of knew that that was going to be end of an era after 15 years of being in the CD manufacturing business. And I just wanted to carry on everything that I've done. It's been carrying on kind of like a community spirit, if you want to call it that. Like you try and do something that will help more than just yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So if you come from the old school hip hop vibe and the days from then you know that it's all about the community.
Yeah.
You know, we pull together, we work together, we help each other. But you know, I feel like in recent times, more and more people have got selfish, and social media has taught everybody to be selfish.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to change that with what I do with the channel. I'm trying to create opportunities where basically people can think, okay, there is somewhere I can go where I know this person actually gives a shit about me.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's what the channel is about, trying to create a scene that many feel no longer exists.
That's dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very dope. So, so speaking of the old days of hip hop, can we talk about how you first got into the music?
Yeah, I was just after the girls in it, and I was like, yeah, it was selfish. I'm joking.
Well,
No,
what was it? So okay, now I'm coming from like the so I grew up in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, right, for the most part, and so I didn't get into I didn't get into hip hop like hardcore until late 87, early 88. Okay. What was it like in the UK for you? How did you first hear the music? When did you first hear it? And what was that like for you?
Okay, so every Thursday night we used to, like, I was in a boarding school, and every Thursday night we had a program here called Top of the Pops. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, right?
Yes. Yes.
But that was a chart show where you would see artists basically performing like short 3-minute clips and whatever. And that's how you kind of recognize the artists back then, the music that was out there. Then obviously on Sunday they would repeat the chart show, but they would do it on radio now. And you would on the chart show, on Top of the Pops, you just got a few acts performing. But on the chart show, they played majority of the songs that were in the top 40. So we were hearing all these pop songs, Yazoo, Wham, whatever else you were hearing it all, right? And then all of a sudden, we started hearing Rapper's Delight, and we're like, whoa, what's this? You know, it was different. Like it wasn't someone singing, and now it was something that I could relate to in a different way because I was already doing poetry and stuff. So I'm like, someone's talking on music. You know, that's what it was. It was rap talking. You know, but we didn't even know what it was called at the time because it wasn't called hip hop at that time.
Right.
Yeah. Then obviously we started hearing people like Curtis Blow around the same time. We started hearing Jam On It, Nucleus. We started hearing Gary Bird and The Experience with We Wear the Crown. Yeah. We started hearing a whole bunch of things, and all of a sudden we started seeing something building. But we didn't, at this point, we didn't even know what it was still. It was just some records that were put out there, you know? And then Buffalo Girls came. So we're talking 1983, 1984, that time. You know, I hate mentioning the dates because we could have the dates wrong because it's so long ago.
Right.
That sometimes you kind of got, I was there at 3:15 on the 2nd of August, and someone would go, no, it wasn't, it was 3:17.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it gets a little bit annoying because it creates arguments that are unnecessary. The point is, we were part of a scene, and we were there. And obviously, I hear people kind of going on about Covent Garden, and I was in Covent Garden myself. So to me, that was a big thing. But I think there's a lot of places around the UK that were also involved in hip hop, but they kind of get erased out of the whole thing, and it's always about Covent Garden. But we can't forget there was like, wow, this was going on here, it was going on there, it was going on there, it was going on there. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was a buzz building. But when we went to Covent Garden around 83, 84, like we started. Like, I mean, I previously thought I went to Covent Garden in 82, but people have kind of said they've seen a couple of pictures of me in 83, 84. So I'm guessing, okay, I may have my dates wrong, which is fair enough. You know, I'm going senile. I'm getting old. I'm wearing glasses. I'm jealous of anyone who's not wearing glasses. But yeah, so there was a vibe. First, the vibe started off in the boarding school I was in. There was a handful of us that basically were always body popping, break dancing. You know, we had one guy who was really good with the windmills, halos and stuff, and turtle. I was good on the turtle, but I was also okay with the body popping. I was good with the floor rocking and whatever. So that was all good. You know, we were learning all of this from watching things like Wildstar. You know, and then we see other programs come into play. I mean, you had things like Arena and stuff like that was going on. So we're watching that. We're watching Beat Street. Yeah, Beat Street was amazing. When breakdance came along, we kind of saw it as a bit of a joke, really. I mean, it was something, but it was too Hollywood. Like, we never understood, like anyone who was taking this hip hop thing serious, we didn't understand what the role of that girl was. Like, you know, she shouldn't have been in that. You're trying to Hollywoodify everything.
Yeah.
And even though we were young, we saw that and we were just like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? But we loved Boogaloo Shrimp and Shabadoo,
Yeah.
you know, and everything else kind of made sense. It was just that little thing that just made us kind of go, if we had to pick between Beat Street and Beat Street and breakdance,
Breaking. Yeah.
then it was going to be Beat Street all day, every day.
Yeah.
But the little thing that saved breakdance for us was Ice-T and Krista Glove Taylor.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Reckless. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yep.
You know, so okay, so we were little kids. We were in our like 13, 14, 15-year-olds. Yeah. I guess we were already listening to rap by the time we were 11, 12. And we were basically, not everybody, when I say we, some of the people just memorized certain parts. But guys like me, we wrote down all the lyrics and started rapping along to everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we would memorize big chunks of Rapper's Delight. We would memorize big chunks of The Crown. I remember going to the beach in Brighton because my brother and my cousins used to live there. So during the holidays, sometimes I would go there. And I remember going to the beach and I was just like, we wear the crown. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, what the fuck is this kid doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. But that was hip hop. You know, to us, at the time it was rap. It wasn't even hip hop.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it was just a vibe. There was a lot of kids that kind of connected through the music, through the body popping, through the breakdancing, through the graffiti, through the DJing. The DJing wasn't even a thing for us at the time. We started seeing a couple people maybe a year or so later after the rapping. And then we're starting to see things happening and thinking, shit, this is like something, this is big. It isn't just about someone being able to sing now. It's about someone being able to graffiti, rap, DJ, beatbox, everything. All of us tried everything. If we went into hip hop, we tried it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a major distinction between now and then.
Yes.
If you wanted to like be into hip hop, you wanted to like dip your toe in everything. And if you're not going to do anything, you move on to the next thing, and you find what your strengths are and hone that craft.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I can say it now because it's 40 years later, literally 42 years later, right? But I became a prefect in my school, and what it was is my headmaster basically came to me and said, "You're a bit of a troublesome guy. How are we going to stop you causing trouble?" And I said, "Make me a prefect," as a joke. So he made me a prefect. Now I had to behave. Like, right? I was like, oh, fucking hell, I got to behave now. I got to set an example. So that was, rest in peace, Mr. Knight. That was the headmaster. But I remember when I was a prefect, he called all of the prefects and monitors at Christmas time to have a Christmas dinner in his study. So they put a table in there. We went there. We sat down. We had this dinner and everything. And when we're sitting there, he goes, "By the way, you," and he's pointing at me. He goes, "I know it was you that sprayed that wall outside the school." And I'm like, who the fuck is grassing on me now? Yeah. But I obviously denied it. I'm like, no, that wasn't me. It's graffiti to basically deny things like that. You know what I mean? It's like, no, that wasn't me. But what we had a petrol station around the corner, and they were dumb, right? Really dumb. Because what they did was they put all the spray cans by the window. So all you had to do back then was smash the window and you got all the cans. Right? And there was no cameras. There was none of that stuff.
Right.
So that was me flirting with graffiti. So we'd steal the cans, we'd come back, and we'd spray a little wall, which was about 4.5 foot high and about 10 foot wide. And I just remember my first ever piece was the word break. That was it, break. And it was in bubble writing.
That's dope.
Yeah. I didn't do a sketch of it. I had it in my head, and I just went. And then I realized it was a pile of garbage, right? But it was good for them. It was good for a first effort, right? But it was still rubbish. And then I realized from then, I'm going to do a piece, draw it on a piece of paper first, get it right, and then do it.
Yep.
So that was my little flirting with graffiti. But like I said, I remember him the headmaster pointing out that he knew it was me. Yeah, but and I'm literally looking at the table because I'm sitting on the table and I'm looking to see people's reactions to see if I can suss out who starts sweating at that point, knowing I'm looking, and then I know who to beat up later in it.
Oh man.
So you flirted with graffiti and it didn't go very far, I'm guessing,
Yeah, all it was is like I said, if you're into hip hop, then you dabble with everything, you try everything, but then you realize what your strength is somewhere down the line. Because by the time I was doing, big up Chuck D, as always. Love Chuck D, one of the greatest people I've ever met. Full stop. What we did back in those days, like we tried everything, but then we kind of figured out what our strength is. And I was quite ahead of my time in understanding, know your weakness and don't dabble with it no more. Leave it behind. Go with your strengths.
Yeah.
So I was leaving behind whatever I was weak at. It's like, you know what? You know who I learned that from? And I learned it pretty early, was from the Beatles. Because those guys could only play 4 chords. They couldn't play anything else, so they left everything else. Yeah. And they just focused their entire career on 4 chords.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, you know what? That's how you got to do it. I focus on your strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Were you always into music?
I was always into music from very early. I remember, obviously, I'm from Iran, and I went home a couple of holidays when I was very young, like 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And I remember discovering the Jackson 5 and Elvis Presley. Right? Now, obviously, Chuck D just popped in and whatever, and, he's lying about Elvis and all that. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? None of my heroes appear on no stamps. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. We didn't know that. I was like young. I was like 6, 7 years old when I was reciting Elvis Presley lyrics. You know, and I can say clearly that there was one song of Elvis that I love to this day. Well, 2 songs that I love. One is Suspicious Minds and the other one is The Ghetto. Yeah, I love those songs. Everything else, I just, I liked it when I was young, but it's not really for me now. Yeah. But when I was listening to those guys, that was my introduction to music.
Yeah.
And when you're young, your introduction or your tastes in music are based around what you generally get fed. Yeah. So my family, somehow my family fed me Elvis Presley and the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Right. And that was the first 2 connections that I had with music. And then as I got older, most people, I think by the time they're 17, 18, they start finding their own way into what they like and not necessarily listening to what the world is telling them to listen to. Some people never discover that, their individualism. Yeah. I discovered it early. By the time I was 10, I was like, yo, not into this pop rubbish. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were some amazing pop records back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the same now, I don't feel. No. Everything sounds very similar. Everything, like in our day, it was a crime to sound like somebody else.
Yes. Right.
Now you're rewarded for sounding exactly like somebody else.
Yep.
No biting allowed.
No biting
allowed.
Yep.
No biting allowed. But yeah, that was my introduction to music. I started very young, which was weird because the rest of my family was not into music like that. None of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of people we talk to, they come from a musical family or whatever, but
Nah, you know what? If I was to speak to my family, I'm not even sure they could spell the word music. That's how bad it is. But I tell you what though. Like I've got 2 nephews, Argamo and Araz. I think it's I'm not sure which one is both of them, and I think Andre as well. 3 nephews and one of their daughter as well. they're all into music. And I think it was because of what they saw me do. And they basically followed through.
Wow.
And the reason why I say I think is because I don't really know my family that well, because I've never really been with my family since I was 3 years old. I've had a couple of little 2-month holidays during the summer, but after that, it's been no connection. No connection whatsoever, really. The odd phone call here and there. But, you know, my family that I've made through hip hop means more to me than my own family does, which is sad I find.
Yeah. But see, that's, I do want to say though, because we talk about it, the bond and the just togetherness, the family of hip hop is such a powerful thing, man. And we're all so grateful for it. So, you know, thankfully, at least you have that, Blade, you know?
Yeah. But, you know, the sad thing is the way I grew up, it's like, because I didn't have family, I had a whole heap of insecurities. Like, whenever I get close to somebody and then they have to leave and get on with their life, I'm kind of like, where do I fit in now? And you end up becoming a bit of a loner. And when you're a certain age and you're trying to pursue your career, you kind of enjoy like being a loner. You fit in with certain people, but most of the time you just want to be on your own and get on with writing your lyrics and, you know, literally tapping on the sides of the armchair, you know, the armchair arms. And that's your beat, that's your equipment. You know what I mean? That's what you had at the time. Your armchair, a pencil in one hand and a pad in the other, you know, and writing lyrics. And that's all we had. But that's all, you know, that meant to me. And that's what music meant to me. It was like, it was everything. I was happy being lonely with me and my music.
Yep.
You know? So yeah.
So okay, so you're a fan of hip hop and you're dabbling and all these things. Do you remember the first rhyme you wrote?
No, I purposely forgot that. No, I wrote so many, but I'll tell you the first lyric that I memorized fully, and I've completely forgotten now. The first lyric that I memorized fully was Jam On It, Nucleus.
Wow.
Yeah. No, but there was so many records at the time that were coming out that I was heavily into. Like, say, for example, you had Two Sisters, you know, High Noon and all that. Then you had, what's the other one? Breakdown, New York Style, baby. Breakdown. You know, all of them. Like, I had all those records at one point. You know what I mean? And then obviously, as soon as I heard Ice-T on Reckless, I had to be in that record. I had to be in it. You know what I mean? I was ready. I was young, skinny, but I was ready to fight people for that.
I used to break dance with my rest in peace, my homeboy Skip. He had a piece of linoleum, and we used to put it in his backyard. But he had the 12-inch of Reckless, and we used to put that on repeat and be, you know, doing up top rocking, you know, all types of moves and stuff, trying to break dance. Yeah, that song was huge. Yeah.
It was. And you know what? This is the beauty of the channel, right? So I get to talk to people like Chris the Glove Taylor. Come on, like what a legend! I love Chris the Glove. You know what I mean? And I know Chuck D's listening, so I would love to interview Chuck D one day. Now I've said it.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to get on here.
There you
He
go.
heard you. He heard you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when did you decide that if you're dabbling with the other things, when did you decide that you were going to go full steam with the MC?
Okay, so I remember in sort of 1984, 85, I was still popping and breaking and doing all those little things, dabbling with everything, even to the point where I got myself a little mixer. The person that I was sharing a flat with at the time, you know, he had the turntables, but they were belt driven. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I'm like, fucking hell, how are these guys doing this? You know? So, but he didn't have a mixer. So I went and got a mixer. I think it was only about 40 pounds or something, but I saved the money and went and got a mixer. And I started dabbling with DJing as well. So I was still doing all those things. And I was linking up with my friends from school because by this time I've left school as well. But just before I left school, we were linking up and we were going off to Greenwich Park and we were body popping, we were breakdancing, and basically we were just trying to get attention from the girls, any girl. We didn't care, ugly or not. You know what I mean? If you got hips and tits, we're good. Right? So, but the other thing is when we come out of the school, so if you imagine the school is here, right? So we come out of the school and we turn right, we cross the thing into like a little green area, which is grass and whatever. And then the garage is right opposite, but there's double-way traffic, yeah, 4 lanes, and there's a zebra crossing in the middle, right between. So we're crossing the zebra crossing, and then we thought, right, let's kind of flip this a little bit. So we got ourselves a piece of lino, right, and we waited for the traffic lights to turn red. Roll out the lino and start breakdancing.
That's awesome.
Well,
But that was hip hop. We were trying to be as defiant as possible.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're never going to expect us to do that. And we're all like calm, just waiting peacefully. And then it's like, red light, line off, break. and then go over and start analyzing at the local petrol station. Go over and start analyzing what color paints they got and what we're going to steal tonight.
Right.
oh, to be young.
Yeah. With no cameras.
Yeah, with no camera.
Yes, it's a whole different day now.
Yep.
But Blade, you used to beatbox, didn't you? Weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the next stage. So what it was when I was rapping in school, only my school friends knew I was rapping, and only a select few people kind of knew I was rapping. Right. So I carried on with the rapping, but I knew I wasn't that good yet. I knew that I didn't really want to go and show the world, even though I went and showed some of the people in Covent Garden. I knew I wasn't ready to show the entire world what I was doing.
Right.
But I was good at beatboxing. I picked that up just like that. It was done. You know what I mean? And as soon as I was on the beatbox thing, I just went into battle mode with everybody and anybody. I didn't care because I knew I was going to win. That's how it was. We had that competition mode.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't know what it was that drove me, but I just knew that I don't care who you are, I'll battle you. You know, and I don't know where we got that from. I think it was from watching Beat Street and just seeing them. You know, when they're walking into the Roxy, into the Roxy, and they're just walking in with this attitude, and you know what I mean.
Serve these dudes.
That's it. That's it. You know. So I was beatboxing, and then I hooked up with a crew called TCR, Total Control Rappers, and it was Merlin and Kenny D. Kenny D. Kenny D left pretty early on, and it was then me and Merlin, and me and Merlin basically worked together. He was rhyming and I was beatboxing, but every now and then I'll do a little beatbox and a rap at the same time as I'm beatboxing. So just when the other guys that were battling, because this was all in front of audiences, big audiences, right? So when we were doing all the beatboxes, when we were doing the shows, Merlin was rapping, and I was kind of like the secret weapon. Like at first, people didn't know I was beatboxing and stuff, so it'd be like, "Oh shit! Like let's get him, let's get Blade on." And then as soon as I come on and the beatbox starts, the crowd goes nuts. I mean, they're already going nuts for Merlin because Merlin was dope. You know what I mean? Like at the time, anyone that was battling Merlin was getting eaten up. That was simple as that. But then to have Blade beatboxing and Merlin rapping, that was something else. And then no one even heard me rapping till publicly, I'm talking about, till we done another battle. Because there was one event where it was a competition and we lost. But a riot kicked off because everybody said there was no way they lost. And when I say a riot kicked off, anyone who's watching this, Crofton Park, if you remember that situation, the security with their Rottweilers and everything. Yeah. And Chris Sykes, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, but hopefully you'll see this back. If you're watching this, one day I'm going to get you in. I'm going to correct the mistake you made when you said that the other guys won. You already know you already know who won. And then there was a rematch a couple of weeks later at Albany, and that's another fight broke out. But this time, because everyone went wild because we tore the place up. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Everybody went wild. Another fight broke out. That was crazy. But that was when Merlin was beatboxing at Crofton Park, and then I came on. Sorry, Merlin was rapping. I came on and I was beatboxing, and that was the first time I did the beatbox and rap together. And I think that's the first time publicly on a wider scale, probably about 1,200 people there heard me beatbox and rap.
Wow.
So now people know I'm a rapper, and I became close friends around that same time with a group called Starlight Assault Squad, SAS, and I used to go to their flat, their house, and I used to practice with them on a regular basis for a year or so. And then, you know, I felt I was ready to make a record. They felt I wasn't, and I basically said, "Cool, love you, look, but I'm gone. I'm gonna make my record." And at this point, I didn't have any idea what I was doing in terms of making a record. Yeah, but I was hungry. I was eager. I had nothing, and I wanted to get something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so many times I hear people talking about proving something to others. I didn't need to prove nothing to nobody. I just wanted to prove it to myself. You know, and I knew that from a young age as well. Like, I think not having family and so on, you learn things a lot quicker because you've got no option. You know, so, you know, I learned a lot of things like a lot quicker than others. So while I was watching other people making records, and this is an important part, I was starting to tell all the other artists, do it yourself. I'm going to make my own record. Right? And even though while I wasn't financially secure because I had no money, no job, nothing, yeah, and I was on the dole, which is basically government money, I set out to make my own record. But at the same time, in case that never happened, I was still looking for deals, but getting rejected all the time. You know, and every rejection for me was more strength to me.
Yeah.
Because I knew one day all these same people are going to come back and go, I always knew you were going to make it. And you know what's funny? All of you did that. All of you did that. As soon as you started hearing my records independently, when you heard Lyrical Maniac, some of you even called me up and were talking about, yo, we should talk. And what was my answer? No, we shouldn't. You know, because I got my own strength now. I don't need your strength.
Yep.
What these people fail to understand is that we weren't looking for big glory. We just wanted to make dope records. And I was achieving that. So why did I need you? But at the same time, the bonus was I was actually making money with it too. So again, why did I need you?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you started 691 Influential?
Yeah, 691.
691.
Yeah. How dare you call it
Sorry,
691?
I'm an American.
My
bad.
I'm joking.
My bad. Yeah. How was the process of starting an independent label for you, like from the nuts and bolts side of it, like manufacturing?
So first things, if I go all the way back to 1986, and standing in the laundry room of the boarding school that I was at, do you remember the days of Polaroid cameras where you take a picture and the picture comes out? Yeah. So I had a Polaroid camera in my hand, and I borrowed it from a friend, and I'm like, you know, I've got a roll of film. Let me just take a few pictures. No idea what I'm doing. And what happens is the laundry lady was there, and I gave her the camera. There you go, one of them. That's it. Oh my God. Sick. So I gave her one of those, and I basically said, do me a favor, take a picture of me. And I stood there and I put my arms out, and that was it. She took a picture. And I think that day was the day I started visualizing what was possible. Because I looked at that picture And I was so pissed off, right? Because the picture looked good, as in the pose that I had, but I had a red eye. And I was like, no, that could have been such a dope picture. But you know what? That would have been a picture that I could have used once, twice, whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what I did? I already knew I was going to make a record sometime along the way. So I looked at that picture and I kept looking at it, saying, something's telling me don't throw this picture away. And within a few hours, I'm looking at it again. And I'm like, raw. So then I made my next plan. And I'm building up to tell you what happened with that picture. I'm building my next plan. There was a camera shop, a photography shop in the village, like about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile down the road. And I went there and I said, how much will it cost to do this? Right? I'm going to tell you what I did in a minute. How much did it cost to do this? And they said 110 pounds. So I thought, fuck, I ain't got no money. So there was something I used to do. And I apologize to everybody in my boarding school that I stole from. But yo, you lot started it by laughing at me because I had no family. Right? So what I did was every night, when you lot were going, like every weekend, when you lot were going out and spending your pocket money and laughing at me because I didn't have pocket money, because I didn't have family, what I ended up doing is I went around to all the dormitories and I put my hands into your pockets. And if you had £2.50, I took 50 pence. Now imagine taking 50 pence from every child. There's 130 kids in that school. I'm taking money, but they had names, and I wouldn't take money from anyone who was good with me, who was cool with me. But anyone who was a bit funny, I'd take their money and I wouldn't care. But what I did was, again, from a very young age, I already clocked, if I take all the money, that's a one-off payment I can get. From then on, everyone's going to be on guard. But if they've got £2.50 and I take 30 pence, they're going to be like, oh, maybe I miscounted. And they're not going to be, you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I clocked from early. Don't take it all. Don't be greedy. Greedy's being greedy, and it's not good. So that, when I saw that it was that successful, that was my meal ticket from now. Now all of you lot is getting £5-10 pocket money, and I'm getting 100 and something pounds every day. Every time you lot's getting that, you're laughing at me, but I'm making more money than you. Ask yourselves how I was getting the money to tell the guys from China, from Hong Kong, to go and get me Walkmans and cameras and all kinds of stuff. That was your money. Yeah. But that was because you laughed at me. I didn't like being laughed at because I wasn't able to go home during holidays. Yeah. You know, you lot telling me that some of the kids were cruel. They were telling me my parents don't want me and stuff. And we would end up getting into fights and whatever. But these things drove me. So anyway, so what happened is I went upstairs. I got all the money together. I got the money to go and do what I wanted to do with the picture. And that was my logo born. That picture, it wasn't one of those pictures I used once or twice. That picture became my logo for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Yeah. So to everyone that I took money from when I did that, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm not saying it to glamorize anything. Let's be clear about that. I'm not saying it to glamorize everything. I was young. I made my mistakes. I'm not proud of having to steal to survive. Yeah. Or steal to move myself into something else. But with me, the way I was, if you're making fun of me, then you obviously don't give a shit about me. So why should I give a shit about you?
Right.
I was young.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't make fun of people just because they ain't got family, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was the day my logo was born. That same night, I went and took everybody's money. And I went in like a couple of days later, I'm in the photo shop and I'm getting that logo made. I told the guy to black everything out apart from my trainers.
That's dope. Yeah.
But I lost the original. Where I had my Reebok trainers. And so the logo was all there and it was just my trainers.
Yeah.
But I lost the original.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I've always gone with the black and white. But yeah, the birth of my logo.
That's so dope.
That's crazy. That's a great story.
Yeah. Yep. So the first record, was that Survival of the Hardest working?
No, it wasn't. It was the first record I actually made never came out.
Oh,
And that was a record called Sharp Moves. And that was done in 1987. And my manager, Dave Klein, basically, he was getting me a couple of little shows here and there, but it was all stuff with his friends. It wasn't anything big. However, he did get me backstage at the Cold Chillin' tour with Big Daddy Kane, Cold Chillin' basically with Big Daddy Kane, Sean Tabes, Marquis, everybody, MC Sharon, the whole lot. And he got me backstage. I got to meet them guys, and I actually beatboxed while a couple of them rapped, and then Biz beatboxed while I rapped, and you know what I mean. So I don't know if any of them will even remember that, but obviously rest in peace, Biz Marquis. You know what I mean. But I got to meet some of my heroes there. Same as we're talking heroes. Chuck D, one of my heroes. Do you know what I mean? Like unbelievable meeting any of these people. But 1987. So we made a record called Sharp Moves, which wasn't really the direction that I wanted to go. But my manager had made this chart game called Sharp Moves. So it was like a Monopoly type game, and it was to do with chart music. So it was like you're making moves, like to get to the charts and blah, blah, blah. And it was clever. It was very well put together and everything. However, I started feeling like he was focusing on the game more. And bit by bit, the focus on me disappeared. So when I started realizing that this is all about you, this ain't about me. No, you're supposed to be managing me. You're taking me to all these meetings. You're using me as the pawn to get into all these meetings, and then you're sitting in there and selling the game. And you throw a token, nugget in there about, and this is played. And when I saw that, I just thought, you know what? I started seeing how people can be so much all about themselves. And I basically said to him, look, I know you've made the record, you've pressed up 5,000 copies and whatever. I don't want to be on that record. Take the record out of the game. Don't put it in. And I just said, I don't care what you do with it, destroy it. But you can't use my vocals and you can use my lyrics, because the lyrics were just literally these rules that I put into lyrics. So I said, get someone else to do it and let them use the lyrics, which is what it did. You got a female MC in there, and they used that. So the record never came out. And then, obviously, in that time, I've walked away from my crew, Starlight, the Soul Squad. I said to them, I'm ready to make a record, but they basically said they didn't think we were ready.
Right.
So I said, cool. You know what? Love you guys, but I'm gone. And I disappeared. And a couple of years later, it was a big moment for me, because I remember I got the record in my hand, and I've done the record covers and everything, and and I guess a lot of people just thought, because you have to remember, when I did it independently, nobody was doing that.
Right.
So everybody was kind of like, wow, he did it. Even my previous manager before Dave Klein, a guy called Damien Quaver, we went for a meeting at Street Sounds, and Morgan Khan told him that I'll never get anywhere because of my attitude. So Damien reminded me that I told Morgan to go fuck himself. And then when Damien told me that he can't manage me if I behave like that, so I told Damien to go fuck himself too. Yeah. And that story is actually, if you look on my Instagram, there's a post called Know Your Worth. It's just a black screen with white writing, Know Your Worth. Yeah. That's it. Dave Funkin Klein. That's the one. I think you got the right one, Chuck.
Yep.
Mad. So Damien Quaver, basically I told him to go fuck himself as well. And I said, and we were talking outside, and he was talking about, I'm never gonna make a record. That's what Morgan Khan said, and he believes that with my attitude, that's gonna be the case. So I said, cool, you know what? Let's just carry on being friends. Don't manage me. But if I have to stand on the streets and sell my own records, I'll do that. And 3 years later, you started hearing about someone standing on the streets and selling records. And Damien, you know the story. That was me. And you already know, because you were the one who reached out and told me the story as well about that. I completely forgot about telling Morgan Khan to fuck himself. So for anyone who doesn't know who Morgan Khan is, Morgan Khan was the CEO, the owner of Street Sounds Records. Okay. Yeah. So, that was a big thing back then. He was a big player in the game.
Yeah.
But I believed in myself. When I made my first record, Lyrical Maniac, I remember getting the record in my hand and then jumping on the bus and going to see my old crew. Right? And I called them up and I said, I'm coming down. Is it cool? They're like, yeah, cool. So I went down and I remember giving them the record. They were the first people I gave the record to, because as far as I was concerned, they were family. You know, I didn't walk away on bad terms. I walked away because I believed I was ready and they believed I wasn't.
Yeah.
So I focused on making my record. You know, when we used to rehearse with them, they would play the beats and I just used to freestyle for hours. Just like a couple hours here, a couple hours there, just freestyle. And that's what we used to do. And when I say freestyle, I'm talking off the top, you know, like, you know, off the dome and whatever. So yeah, that's the record cover, Lyrical Maniac. There you go. And I remember giving them the record and they were all shocked. I saw the reaction on their face and they were all shocked. But I think at the same time, they didn't think it was going to be all that. And I remember then putting the needle on the record. And I think I took 2 copies of each record. Sorry, 2 copies of the record for each person in the group. So they were all DJs. So I'm just like, yeah, just give them 2 copies each. So they played the first track. As soon as it comes in, they all start looking at me like, yeah. And then the next record comes in and they're like, you know, and then the next track comes in, and they're like, Blade, you're not playing about.
Yeah.
And I said to them, I always said I was ready, bro. You'd have believed in me.
Yeah.
No, and that was when I knew that was now me solidified with everybody. They all knew.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you get that kind of reaction from people and your confidence goes up, like it's a whole different level of confidence.
Yeah.
And that was us just as kids making music that we enjoyed and we loved and so on. And you know, we took it to the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if the street ain't coming to us, we'll go to the street. That was the mentality. And we took it to the street. But then after a while, you start realizing the industry plays a role. They're blocking you. There's certain DJs don't want to play you because they're friends with other rappers and all that kind of stuff goes on. And you know what I mean? But yeah, the first record, long story short, Lyrical Maniac.
Yeah. What was so were you getting radio play at that point in time?
Yeah. I mean, all the radio stations. I mean, so Tim Westwood was playing it. John Peel was playing it.
Okay.
John Peel got me in to do a live session at BBC, which was unheard of back then.
Wow.
You know, like for a rapper, you know. I believe, from what I understand, he definitely got Public Enemy in. Chuck can verify that as well. I'm pretty sure I listened to that one. But yeah, it's like John Peel was. It was a weird one because I remember. Okay, so the person who made that happen was Alan, who was at Raw Bass Records. He made that happen. But I remember walking into one of the record shops, and it was a narrow shop, but it had records on both sides on the walls and everything. And then, like, you walk in, I forget which shop it was, but as I'm walking in, I see the DJ pointing to someone at the counter, and he's talking, and he's pointing, but I can't hear what he's saying. When I get there, he goes, "Yeah, Blake." He goes, "Yeah, this is his record." Right? So I'm like, okay, so he's just a customer. And back then, I didn't see pictures of any of these people, so I didn't really know who they were. Yeah. You know, he's just a DJ on radio. That's, you know, but I didn't even know he was a DJ. He was just a customer as far as I was concerned. So I see, I forget who it was as well, the DJ. Sorry, not the DJ, the shop and the person who was at the counter. But he basically told the guy at the counter, this is Blade, it's his record you're listening to. And then I'm basically, the guy goes to me, you want to come and do a thing on my radio show? And I'm looking at him like, why, who are you? And I asked him, why, who are you? And he goes, I'm John Peel. And I was like, oh, shit. You know, like, obviously I had to apologize because I listened to John Peel's show, but I didn't know what he looked like.
Right.
You know, I didn't even recognize his voice because he puts on a deeper voice when he don't, you know, when you go in the mic and you go, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, John Peel didn't really do that, but most radio DJs did. Yeah. Those were the days. You know your radio voice. And then the girls meet you and go, fuck me, he's ugly. You know? But yeah, so Alan hooked that up for that to happen. But I met John Peel at the shop, and around the same time, he hooked up with Alan, who was friends with him, and basically made it happen so we could do the live thing. So yeah, John Peel was playing it. It was all over the place. Everybody was playing it. I mean, it wasn't played in chart places, but all the underground stations, all the pirate stations, but I would reach out to people and give them the records, so they would get the pirate. I would get the pirate radio stations, any records I made, And then there was other things I was doing. So, for example, one of the tricks that I learned to do was, like, I noticed on some of the radio stations they were saying, and in particular BBC Radio 1, they were saying, oh, and this one has been requested, so we're going to play it. So I thought, okay. So remember I said to you I was ahead of my time with a lot of things. So I was thinking, I was always planning. I was watching everybody else and going, okay, I'm going to do something different here. Yeah. So what I did was, I can say it now because obviously I'm no longer in the school, but I had keys to every room in that school because I was a little thief. Yeah. And what I did was I went into the study and I stole all the stamps and all the envelopes and I stole all the paper. And then I went up and down wherever I could go to, and I stopped people on the street and got them to write a little message to Radio 1 asking them to play my record. Right? Wow. And I used the stamps, the paper, the envelopes, everything. Yeah. I got them to sign it and then basically sealed it up and posted it. Yeah. Wow. And all of a sudden, Radio 1's getting tons and tons of letters going, we've had so many requests for Blaze records.
Oh, this man's a genius.
That is brilliant.
Yeah. That's great.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so what I'm saying is a lot of people kind of use money as an excuse. And I had no money, but I found ways. And, I could have, I could have easily joined up with friends of mine and got involved in drug dealing and all kinds of other stuff and, burglaries and whatever else. But my focus was just to make the records. And, it's like we learned to pickpocket. We learned to do these things. And this was our survival mechanism.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This was our survival mechanism. We believed in what we did. That's what I'll always come back to that. We believed in what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
That's great.
So then obviously we move on to the second record, which was Mind of an Ordinary Citizen.
Yeah.
So, right, so if you see the record cover, you got a police car. And I've told this story a couple of times, but I don't think it's been told on a big platform. So maybe it's a good place to tell the story. But in it, there was a lyric where I go, so what if I was stealing? But at least I was doing it with feeling,
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what I was implying, that, if I'm making a record and I'm $1,000, $2,000 short, guaranteed on the weekend, I'm in Leicester Square and I'm dipping wherever I can dip, and we would raise the money that way, just whatever. But I was also dishwashing. So, I did dishwashing and I was making £75 a week with the dishwashing. But by the time food, rent, whatever else, and all that kind of stuff, there's no money left. So obviously, like a couple of months later, I've got the money to make the record. Where does the money come from? We do what we have to do. We didn't have record labels. We didn't have, let's not get it twisted. I was offered deals and I never took any of them. I was offered deals with as little as 2% to advances as big as a $250,000 and still turned it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, it started, my manager, who was a different manager again at that time, would verify all of that. But yeah, I just wasn't interested in the deal. The deal started off with a single deal that ended up becoming an album with 2 options, like just expanded and expanded. And the reason why that happened is because at the time there was 5 different record labels talking to us, And I remember my manager basically, we went in for the meeting and everything was getting ready to be signed and stuff. And I remember saying to the manager, I remember saying, can I talk to the manager outside? And they're like, yeah. They've gone outside and they've basically asked me, so I said to the manager, what would you do if I didn't take the deal? And he goes, I wouldn't manage you anymore because I've worked hard to get us here. And he did work hard to get us there. And I said to him, in that case, I'd like to shake your hand and say thanks for everything you've done, but I'm not taking the deal.
Wow.
And I walked away. I love that manager. He done a lot for me. But when I'm working with people and then you walk into the record company and they're telling you they love what you do, but then they're telling you to change the formula of what you do.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yep.
You know, they wanted me to get rid of the producer and so on and so forth. And they're sitting there with somebody else there to produce the records. And I'm like, I don't even know what you do. Like, you don't even look like you live the life I live. How are you going to understand what I try and get across? You know, imagine Public Enemy working with someone that makes just straight out pop music. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Someone who doesn't understand the streets, someone who doesn't understand race, culture, someone who doesn't understand any of these things. That would be laughable. Public Enemy wouldn't be what Public Enemy is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
You know? And I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be that.
What? So you did a handful of singles, and then when did you decide, okay, now I'm going to do an album?
You know, I was so naive in the game that I didn't even know I had to do an album. I'm just going to make a record and another record and another record. And to be honest, I only wanted to make one record. But every time, like I remember going into one of the shops, you know, when you got your hi-fi shops and you walk into the shop, and so I'm like saying to the guys, yo, do you mind if I play my cassette? Because I know what that sounds like. So I want to buy the stereo system, but I want to hear music that I'm familiar with. So they went, yeah, cool. So I put that on. And I remember people coming up and going, yo, I heard that on Westwood last night. That's sick. Oh my God. It's like, you know what I mean? And but they don't realize that I'm the guy that made it. No, I'm the guy that made it. Do you know what I mean? So that was amazing to know that people are coming back, and now they're feeding back to me, not realizing they're feeding back to me. You know, but the other beautiful thing was that I'm now hearing people driving past with my record playing in the car.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, is this really happening? It was everywhere. It was one of those things. It was weird, you know what I mean? And you know, but then moving on to the album. So I decided, look, I've made a couple of records. People are excited about it. I made another record, which I personally didn't think was as good as the first two. You know, but we were rushed for time. There was a lot of personal stuff going on. And in some ways I felt like it wasn't what I wanted it to be, you know. And when you run out of studio time, money and whatever, and you don't want to delay things anymore, you're just like, you know what, just go with it. And then we put out Survival of the Hardest Working, and I didn't even mind that the rest of the EP, to me, I never listened to. However, Survival of the Hardest Working became the Blade anthem. Everybody knew that tune. Everybody. And when we perform that at shows, it goes off. It goes off all the time. I mean, nowadays it might be different because audiences don't really move in the same way they used to.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, it's either that first of all, the youngsters that are in the crowd, you know, they're listening to the music and trying to take it in, soak it in and whatever. And the olders, like all the elder people, the knees don't work anymore, you know, so they can't jump. Yeah. So all I got to say to those people there is, next time you come to any of our shows, if we ever do any more shows, fix your knees first.
Oh man.
So we done Survival of the Hardest Working, which was the EP that came before the album, and then we decided, right, time to do an album. Didn't have any money, but now I've got this idea. Yo, what if? You know what? I've got enough fans. What if I asked everyone to send the money up front? Now, bear in mind, no one's ever done this before, ever.
Right.
Not that I'm aware of.
Right.
And Kickstarter didn't come in until 18 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have now I've sat in the studio while we're recording, and I've said to my engineer, I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask people to send the money up front. But I've got to give them something in return. So I'm going to give them a free 7-inch. with a couple of songs, one on each side. And then me being the idiot, like I've made the track so long that I can't fit it on a 7-inch. So now I've got to do a 12-inch. Right? The track was like 7.5, 8 minutes long on one of them. So I'm like, oh shit, here we go, extra expense. But it didn't matter. Because, you know, I got my press agent and I said, right, Angus, anybody that wants to interview me, tell them the only way I'm going to do the interview is if they promote the fact that I want them to send money up front. So they, at the end of the interviews, they have to put a message in there to say, if you want the record up front, yeah. So if you want the record, you need to pay up front for it so we can manufacture it.
Right.
Again, nobody had done that before.
Damn.
So when you look up the word Kickstarter in the dictionary, you really need to be seeing Blade's face there.
Yeah, right.
Man's a genius. He's a genius.
Right? 18 years before Kickstarter, none of that existed. None of that existed. Red Venom just said he remembers this.
Yeah.
So Red Venom, you said you remember this. What did you feel when you saw that? I'm curious. What did you feel when you saw that? So we put that out, and I was expecting maybe 200 people to send money in advance, and I was shocked at the reaction. I got 2,200 sales.
Wow.
There was 2,000 more than I expected, and I'm like, fucking hell, we've now got to manufacture 2,200 limited edition white vinyl. But the white vinyl, we didn't even say white vinyl. We just ended up doing white vinyl.
Yeah.
And then by doing the white vinyl, we had a bit of white wax. That was crazy, never seen before. Red Venom verifying that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So they had a bit of white wax left over. And they said, it's yours. What do you want to do with it? And I said, can you manufacture a few copies of the double album on white wax? And they said, yeah. How many do you want? And I go, how many can I get? They go, probably about 20, 30 maybe. And I went, cool. Can you do 20? So they done 20. And I didn't sell any of those. I gave them to specific people who helped me in some way and said, hold on to it. One day it's going to be worth some money.
Wow.
And evidence of that is about a year or so, 1.5 years, 2 years ago, Helen Odysseus, you might remember this. You were part of the manufacturing process. You worked at the pressing plant. You guys helped me out with credit notes and everything. Angus Beatty. Yeah, Angus Beatty. So Helen, I gave a copy to. I gave a copy to Carol. I gave copies to my DJ then, the engineer, basically people around me. You know, and when I gave the copy to all of these people, I said, hold on to them. So Helen last year, or 1.5 years, 2 years ago, messaged me and said, Blade, I'm getting rid of all my records. Do you want the white vinyl copy of the Lion album? And I said, Helen, what did I tell you when I gave you that record? And she goes, I don't remember. I go, I said to you, one day it's going to be worth some money. Helen, I'm going to do you a favor and tell you I don't want the record, but I'll help you sell it. And she goes, Blade, don't waste your time. You'll get £10 for it. And I went, Helen, believe me, you're going to get a hell of a lot more than that. All right? So here's what happens. So I put the post up and I said to Helen, 5 minutes and you'll have an offer of £300-400. 5 minutes. So I put the post up and within 30 seconds, someone's offered £350. All right? Literally, every 10 seconds, there's another offer coming in. But I'm saying, look, someone's already offered 350. Someone's already, yeah. So I'm getting private messages. And one of the messages was from a guy called Whirlwind D. And Whirlwind D messaged or whatever. And now I know Whirlwind D well, and I know he's a big fan, and he's always supported everybody. Really good guy. Yeah. And I wanted him to have the record. And there was other people that was offering me more than him. Yeah. But I said, look, Whirlwind, I want you to have the record. So I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to talk to Helen. All this time, I'm referring back to Helen, and I'm going, Helen, it's now at £700. Now at 720. Now at 750. She's going, how the fuck? You know? So anyway, what ended up happening is 800 was offered. Now, I've already a few years before that sold one for 1,000 for another person who had it. Wow. To a guy in Japan. who wanted to fly over from Japan to come and get it because he didn't want the record getting damaged by being sent.
Wow.
Jeez.
Right, so £1,000 for the record. Yo, Julian, see that? Julian verifies it as well. He's got one, right? So anyway, so £1,000 for the record, and he wants to fly over from Japan, book himself into a hotel for a couple nights, hang out with me, and basically buy the record.
Wow.
And I'm like, yo, just whatever, you have to deal with the guy, but I'm happy to meet you though. So I put him in touch and sold the record, and I never got to meet him because I was on tour and stuff. Anyway, so the record, this particular record, a couple of years ago, 800 was offered, and I reached out to Whirlwind and I said, bro, someone's offered 800. And he goes, I can do 820, but that's the maximum. I'm like, all right, bro, let me see what I can do. So I called Helen and I said, Helen, I'm going to stop the bidding at 820. Yeah. And she's like, Blade, I thought I was going to get £10 or something. So 820 is like, all right. So anyway, she agreed to sell it. But then I asked her if she could sell it for 750 because, you know, Whirlwind's always supported.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. You know, I didn't want to take the piss with Helen because I told her it's going to be worth some money. So anyway, end up selling the record for 750, and Whirlwindy went over to meet her at her house, picked up the record, and gave her the money. And so I believe my album is the most expensive hip hop record coming out of the UK.
Wow.
£1,000 for one and 750 for another.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That is dope.
But yeah, so that was the album. How did we record it? On the money sent in by everybody. We actually saw the money coming in advance, and we basically made a deal with the recording studio that we'd pay up front, that we'd pay as we go along as the money comes in.
Yeah.
It was a similar deal with my engineer. I was just like, yo, Nigel, need a little bit of help, blah, blah, blah. Can you do this on credit and I'll pay you in full? And that was basically the situation. So the Lion comes out and everything changes now. You know, the merchandise, nuts, everything nuts. It all went crazy. You know, going to Europe and selling merchandise and doing the shows and whatever, and in like 9 days or 10 days, whatever it was, coming back with 127 grand. You know, and then not realizing the tax man's going to take half of that, so we're screwed anyway. And you have to remember, a lot of that was also manufacturing costs for t-shirts, hoodies, all that. I've actually got an interesting story about the merchandise if you want to hear it.
Yeah, please.
Right. So I've never told this story. I don't believe I've ever told this story publicly. So you're getting something that I don't think anyone knows.
It's C-Doc again exclusive.
Right. And I'm doing this because of my love for Chuck D.
There you go.
I just want you to know that. All right. So I was broke. And I was waiting on my dole money, which is the government money. Yeah. And I found this t-shirt supplier. And I called them and I said, can I buy some t-shirts, please? And they were like, yeah, how many do you need? I went, I just need 10. Now, they told me the price and I've gone, can I pay when I get my dole money next Wednesday? But I need the shirts now. And they said, we can't do that. And I'm like, come on, it's 10 t-shirts. It's not the end of the world for you. It's 10 t-shirts. I promise I will pay. I will pay. They're like, no, I can't do that. Anyway, I said, look, take my number just in case you change your mind. So they took my number. Probably 10, 15 minutes later, I get a call back. And so the person I was speaking to was Sharon. And then she called me back and said, my husband, Alan, overheard the conversation. And we feel there's something sincere about you and we'll help. So 10 t-shirts. You promise to pay when your dole money comes in. I went, yeah, I promise to pay. So we got the 10 t-shirts and sent it off to the printers and had prints done. What I didn't tell them was the reason why I needed that was to send it out to certain shops, distributors and whatever, and get the sales, as well as make t-shirts available, you know, to whoever. Anyway, what ends up happening, and I've reconnected with Sharon in recent times, and she remembered me from back then. We haven't spoken for 25 years, 30 years. And she remembered me from back then because of this scenario, because it's not a scenario that happens too often. So anyway, I've sent the money as soon as I said I would. And then I've called them and I've said, did you receive the money? And they said, yes. And thank you for the honesty. I went, cool. Can I place another order, please? And they're like, okay, what would you like to order? And bear in mind, at this time, I've got distribution deals and everything going on. Right. Distributors are calling me. They want like 200 shirts, 100 this, 300 that, and then reordering. And I had a big tour coming up with 36 dates or something. Yeah. And I know at this time, I've already had a taste of with some of the shows that if I go there, I'll sell 200 shirts, 300 shirts, whatever. Right. So I'm like, okay. So I've called Sharon. Did you receive the money? Yes, I did. Can I place another order, please? Yep, same again. I went, no, can I place a different order? Yeah, what would you like to order? Okay, can I get 4,000 t-shirts, 2,000 hoodies? Can I get 4,000 t-shirts, 2,000 hoodies, 1,000 record bags, the smaller ones, 33 of the padded record bags? Can I get 2,000 slip mats? And can you send them all to the printer? Blade, we can't do that on credit. No, I don't need credit. I've got the money now. I'm going to pay for it. They're like, what? Last week you had no money. And now, where did that come from? No, because I've already got some of the money from the distributors. I've got the albums already. The albums already selling. All them kind of things going on.
Yeah.
You know, sorry about that. I just knocked the tripod.
That's okay.
So, but yeah, there's all this stuff going on, and it was crazy. And that's where the 127 grand came from. And the mad thing is, normally I would sell the album for £12, but if someone came to me and said I got £4, I'd just give it to them.
Wow.
Yeah, just whatever, just take it. All I want is my name out there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build something, so just take it. And t-shirts, sometimes you sell a t-shirt for £2. Because if I sold all those things at the price that I should have been selling them at, I should have come back with 200-300 grand. Wow. You know what I mean? Like I sold a lot of records. So yeah, it was crazy. Crazy.
What was touring like?
You know what? I love touring because I love being on stage. Yeah. But other times I was just kind of like, I just want to be on my own. I don't really need all, you know what I mean? But overall, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. But there are certain times where you just feel like, just the world, leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's that kind of vibe. You know what I mean? I've had DJs that basically, like, one day into the tour, they're moaning about missing their family and, I can't do this, Blade. Like, you know what? Go home then, innit? Like, I'll find someone who can do this. But yeah, it's grueling because, like, some people don't remember. Some people, when you tell them they can tour and whatever, they're kind of like, I just remember 1 or 2 shows. What? Because you remember 1 or 2 shows, you don't think that I'd remember that I went on a full exclusive and intensive tour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I was all over the place. You know, Norway, Iceland, Germany, Switzerland. You know, I never got to
France.
Spain, Italy, France. Yeah.
I met Blade 20 years ago in France. And it was I forget where it was, but you don't remember, but I remember because we were talking UK hip hop and you were telling me some history, but I wish I had a picture. I don't think I took a picture, but I definitely remember, meeting you, at the time, Mark B and Blade was super hot. So we talked about that, but that's weird to come back here.
Did I beatbox battle you?
No, because you would have absolutely won. I could beatbox, but you be going off. I can't do all that.
Yeah, I can't do it no more either, man. It's just I was actually like I do it every day where I'm just going. Yeah, but I just do it every day just for fun. you know.
Yeah.
But I don't do it serious. I'm not like,
It's too much.
you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, you just brought up the Mark B. Blade. I guess we could jump ahead to that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. How did
Can I
that?
just say, before you go there, though,
Yeah.
big massive thanks to Angus Beatty for being my press agent and for making a lot happen. You know, like without him pushing for, like, without him basically pushing for the magazines to get the album sold in advance and let everyone know we need the money up front and all that kind of stuff to make it happen, that whole Kickstarter thing would never have happened. So big up Angus Beatty for that.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's so dope. Yeah. So okay, talk about the Mark B. Blade collab. How did that all start?
It actually started. Should I stop eating chewing gum? I just like chewing gum. I don't know why.
That's fine. You're good.
No, it's just sometimes when I see people eating chewing gum, it just looks horrible, isn't it?
It's all good, man.
So Mark B and Blade. So Mark booked me for a show many years before. I think it was 1992. And it was a show in Kingston, Barnes, that kind of area. And it was in a pub. And what happened is we got to do the show. We got up on stage and the crowd went apeshit, and the landlord turned the music off. And a bit of a semi-riot was about to kick off. Everyone was pissed off. And we're telling the landlord, look, put the music back on. He's like, no, it's too loud. No. The crowd is wild, and you know, we're close to houses and stuff, and can't have that. You know, anyway, I didn't get to do the show, but Mark paid me still for the show. He basically didn't want to pay. I made him pay so that I could pay the crew, and I said, don't worry about paying me. So the crew got paid, I didn't, and I left it at that. Yeah. Then Mark starts hitting me up because he's got my number and all that, and he wants to produce for me. But he kept sending me beats, and I'm just like, I ain't feeling it, bro. I ain't feeling it. And then years went on. And I'm like, Mark, the way you're producing is too kind of old school. You're doing it like, you know, like times have changed. It's not the Marley Marl and the Said G and that kind of era no more. You know, I love the way them guys produce, but times have moved on. Now you got to start using loops in a different way. You know what I mean? Like all the choppy stuff, it's not working now. People ain't interested in that right now. You know, they're into loops. So Mark didn't want to do that. So he carried on. But what Mark used to do when he used to produce in the early days, he would take a beat, he would create a beat on the drums, whatever, on the drum pads, and then he would just kind of get like a little scratch sound or whatever, or a violin, and just go. And I hated that. I hated that. And I just said to Mark, you know what, Mark? Like, I can't really work with this basically because it doesn't sound musical to me in any way, shape, or form. Right? It just sounds to me like someone playing the keyboard that doesn't know how to play a keyboard.
Right.
Right? You're just stabbing notes, and it makes no sense to me.
Right.
You know? So I just said, look, let's leave it for a while. Let's see where you go. He kept hitting me up on a regular basis, kept in contact. We built up a friendship. 5 years is gone, and he's going, yo, can we work? And I'm like, send me something. And he sent me something, and it's still in the same vein. And I'm like, bro, nah, it's not for me. Right? So then, like, I mean, this, I wouldn't even say 5 years. It's maybe 3-4 years. And then I started spending a lot of time with him on the phone, like at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I started spending, because remember, I'm a producer myself. I produce my own records.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even though I was looking for and again, this is another big up to Public Enemy as well, because I love the hard sound. So even though like what we were doing was noisy, it still had an element of musicality to it.
Yes.
There was some kind of rhythm or bass line or something that you could follow.
Yes.
Whereas with Mark, I was just hearing the drum pattern, and he's minimized everything to just like the scratch sounds or the violin sounds or whatever. But like I said, to me, it's even out of pitch. I'm hearing stuff that I'm like, Mark, it's like, you understand music. But the other thing was also, you know, I come from a hard background. no family. I'm on the streets. Like, if I can pickpocket somebody to eat tonight, then so be it and whatever. But I didn't feel like Mark was getting that in his music. And I wanted the music to define me. You know, but it's kind of like watching a Tom and Jerry cartoon and visualizing Halloween. It's like, it just doesn't work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can obviously do that mix and whatever, but I was just like, yo, I'm in the Halloween mode and you're in the Tom and Jerry mode.
Right.
And that's how I was kind of seeing it. So I just thought, you know what, it's not for me. But however, I'm not closed to the idea of working with you if we can kind of gel it together and make it work. So the next stage was, I'm spending a lot of time on the phone to him, and I'm playing loops at my end because I've got turntables and I've got so I've got a turntable and I've got records. Obviously, I've got loads of loops. I've got loads of breaks, loads of sample records, loads of everything. You know, and those days were the days where we were finding records. You know, we weren't looking just for, oh, here's a sample pack.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we tried to avoid using ultimate breaks and beats and all those kind of things.
Right.
You know, we tried to find original jazz breaks that no one's got and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm kind of like flicking through stuff and I'm going, here it is. Right. Mark, have you got this record? Yeah, I've got the record. All right, listen to it from this point. Sample that. So now I'm telling him what to do. And bit by bit, he's starting to change the way he produces. Right? And a year down the line, year and a half down the line, I thought, you know what? It's getting there. Let's do something. Let's try something. So we done the first record. And I gave him, like, I just said, you produce it. So he produced the record, but I felt it was too clinical for me. I felt like I was working in an office. And again, that whole street thing was taken out of that particular record for me. Yeah, I didn't, you know what? People listen to the records and all that, and I don't really care what they think. It's ultimately, I got into this to make music for me, to define who I am and whatever. So as much as I'd like to make some money, I wasn't prepared to change who I was.
Yeah.
It's like, if you imagine your living room, yeah, your lounge or whatever you want to call it in the States, you imagine your lounge, you know, if the wall is green, if the decorations are green and whatever, but you change the wall color to something different. Yeah, like, I don't know, light blue. It changes the vibe of the room and everything. But it doesn't mean the person sitting inside is any different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I was using the music in that sense. I can jump from one music to the next and whatever, but at the same time, I felt like what Mark was producing wasn't hitting me in the same way. It's like the soul was taken out of it for me.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. Yeah. So what happened is I gave him full production credits on the first record. We done the record. When we listened to the overall thing, I was like, yo, it's a bit clinical for me. Still missing that streets though, that vibe that I want to get. So I said, look, the only way I'm going to do a second record with you or any other record with you is if I choose the loops and you come up with the drum programming. Now, I'm a producer. I can drum program myself. But I also know that sometimes you got to work with somebody else to bring something different to what you're doing.
Yep.
So I was happy. Like, I would have carried on doing the drum programming the same way I always did. Like, I would do what Public Enemy would do. I would put beats on top of beats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I felt like the beat structure needed to be simplified. I knew that. So what we did was, I said to Mark, I'll pick the loops, you do the drum programming. Yeah. And then something happened to me during all of this. And again, this is not something that I've spoken about publicly, but I'm happy to give it away. But one day I'll tell the full story. So I got beaten up really badly. And I feel like it was all down to jealousy. And it was at a time when things started popping off. And there was death threats and extortion attempts and all kinds of stuff happening.
Wow.
And, you know, I was surrounded by people that were dangerous as well. And I knew I could have gone one of two roads. I could have got people involved and they would have dealt with it. But then I would have had very bad situations happening. Yeah, and I didn't want no blood on my hands. Or I could have just carried on and made my money and left. And that's what I did. So, like I said, it's not a story I've told before. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm not going to say who it was because I'm saving that story for another time. But that situation happened. And I said to Mark, I don't want to make music no more. I don't see why people are threatening me just because I make music and I'm doing better than they are.
Yeah.
And Mark heard some of the calls. I was, when you've got a remote to your phone and you're listening to messages and whatever. I was in Mark's house, in the studio in his house when I was playing some of the messages, and he's going, Blade, what the fuck's going on? And I'm like, bro, I gotta go. And in the middle of the recording, I had to go because now they're threatening my girlfriend and my son.
Wow.
So I'm like, bro, I'm gone. So I left. And again, my friend Julian, if you're still awake, he'll verify all of this. This was all happening. So I picked up and I left. And then we're in the middle of recording and whatever. And this is after I've been beaten up. And the record company is now basically saying if I don't finish the album on time, then like by Friday, then they're gonna drop us. Now, bear in mind, I'm not actually signed to this record deal. Mark is signed. I'm not.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I felt a little bit disrespected by that as well because, like, I'm doing a lot of work here.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that became fans of Mark B and Blade were fans of Blade beforehand. Yeah. Majority of the people were fans of Blade beforehand. I built my reputation from 10 years before.
Right.
From longer than 10 years before, because remember, I was already on the streets doing stuff. I was battling. I went through the war zone to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what happened is I said to Mark, you know what? You do the drum program and I'll pick the loops. So I said to him, you can keep the production credits. However, if I decide I want to get back into the game for any reason, just tell the world the truth.
Frozen.
Oh,
Damn it.
Blade.
It's always at the best part of the story.
Always. Damn.
Okay. It's resetting. We'll give it a reset.
All right. These stories are great, man.
I know. Damn.
It's
Coming up on part 2 of It's C-Doc again. Find out what happened.
Blade is the original Kickstarter.
Right? It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I am the Kickstarter. You should do Firestarter. I am the Kickstarter.
Right? Jeez. Wow.
Oh, come on. Van Dam.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, man, damn.
Ah,
I was listening to The Lion Goes from Strength to Strength earlier today. After Flatline had sent me Split Personality.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And then listening to The Lion Goes from Strength, that record is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Did you see the runtime on it? It's over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And there's no guests.
Yeah.
No, the first song's like 7 minutes long.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
It's unheard of.
Yeah.
It would never, an album like that would never get made today.
No.
Like,
nope.
And the whole thing is so dope. It's so dope. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They barely got made back then, let alone
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So
Damn it.
Oh man,
He's
the doom circle of doom. Well, we'll hang tight and hopefully Blade comes back to finish the story. Yes. In the meantime, yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say.
Hold on. I'm gonna see if I pop out to see if I can holler at him real quick.
Okay. Ultra Mag will be back. I know we Flatline.
Yeah.
New episode of Hip Hop Gods this evening.
Yeah, there was. There is.
There is
2 weeks in a row for the first time in months.
All right, back on the horse.
He's back in the horse. So, of course.
Oh wait, here he is.
Is
Here
he
he
back?
is. Here he is. Yep.
He's coming. All right.
There he is.
Good. So glad. Welcome back, Blade.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
But Don as
I
well.
can't hear anybody.
Oh, you can't hear us. Oh.
I can't hear anybody.
No?
We can. You are quieter than you were.
I can't hear anybody.
Hmm.
What did I do last time?
Yeah, something's definitely not right.
Hello, hello. Can you speak a second?
Yo, Blade.
Check,
Can you hear us?
check.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 check.
He might have to check his the StreamYard settings.
I can't hear it.
Might be the thing.
I can't hear anything. 1 2 1 2.
No, I say I can't do it.
Blade. Check settings. Settings. I think the more. Oh, well, we'll see.
Maybe he needs a reset.
Maybe.
All right, let's try this.
Here's a cool story. Yeah, can you hear us?
Oh, still can't hear us. It's definitely not the same as it was.
I'm not sure what to do.
Sound.
Echo cancellation.
1 second.
Yeah, can you hear me?
There you are.
Yeah, can you hear us?
You're us.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
There we go.
Excellent.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry about that. So whose internet messed it up?
I don't know.
I blame you, C-Dots.
Okay,
C-Dots.
that's fine. You can blame me.
Yeah,
It's my show. You can blame me. It's cool. It's all good.
yeah. So yeah, basically, what happened? Just going back to that story.
Yes.
So what happened is now I've got to deal with death threats, extortion attempts, all that kind of stuff, and it's at a point where I'm kind of confused why all this is happening.
Right.
Right, and I'm not ready to play games anymore. Like, it was easy for me to stay where I was because I live right opposite a college, a university, and I'm seeing pretty girls walk past every day, and it's like, yo, eye candy, But at some point, I'm like, yo, I got a girlfriend, I got kids. I need to be bigger. I need to be better. And if I'm being honest, all that negative stuff that happened, like, I didn't know at the time, but it was a blessing in disguise because they helped me to turn my life around. So what I remember was me saying to Mark, this is a deal, an arrangement that me and Mark made when we were talking directly with ourselves. This wasn't a conversation anyone else was privy to. And, the deal was, if I decide I'm going to carry on making the music and everything, then just tell the world the truth. Let them know what my involvement was, like the loops that were picked and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, so basically, when I did, you don't see the signs. If you listen to the lyrics, let's be realistic. You ain't artistic. You're simplistic. Ripping off songs that already existed. You go ballistic. When we tell you the facts, play the evidence. You lose control over your emotions. Couldn't hack it because you think the world should rotate around what you do. But you're sadly mistaken. Here's a ruder awakening. You ain't gonna win. This whole game's full of amateurs, fake characters, human beings acting mechanical. Enter the cannibals. That's us. Originally, it was Enter the Cannibal. That's me. But he asked me to change that. Enter the cannibals. That's us. The mission is to crush with the least amount of fuss, turning leeches into dust, because it's a must. He's a beat programmer. I said it right there. Yeah. He's a beat programmer. I'm a savage and my weapons grammar. You're the nail, I'm the hammer. Backstabbers don't survive long when my mic's on. Hypocrites are paralyzed, crushed by the unknown. Destroyer destroying phonies. Those that act up, step to the front, but bring your back up. Yeah. Now, Mark wanted me to change those lyrics. And I refused to change those lyrics. Julian, if you're still here, you know why he wanted to change those lyrics. Yeah. I'll keep that one for when I tell my own story. Yeah, but there was a reason why Mark wanted me to change the lyrics. Let's just say he wasn't happy about something. You know, rest in peace, Mark. But yeah, basically what I remember is the record label. When I got beaten up, you know, I don't know how the doctors count bruises. Yeah, but they said I had 154 bruises on my body, 53 bruises on my face. I was almost blinded in my left eye, and I had 3 broken ribs. One of those ribs was digging into my heart, and I couldn't breathe because it was literally hurting, like killing me. Yeah, I couldn't breathe. And the record label, and I wasn't able to carry on recording.
Right.
But what the record label did was, the record label basically said if the album isn't delivered by Friday, they're not doing the album. So I called Mark and I said, I'm coming to yours on Monday, and we're going to finish everything on the one day. Pain, no pain. You know, this is an opportunity for me to change my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to change my life. And I turned up, and I was in pain. Like, imagine rapping and you know there's a rib digging into your heart constantly. And you're just like, shit. And yeah, that's stuff that people don't know. But yeah, so I ended up basically recording that album under a lot of duress, under a lot of pain, under a lot of torment from negative people.
Yeah.
Something that I just never understood. You know, and you get to a point in your life where you start, when someone does something to you so negative that you feel you don't deserve because you haven't done nothing to them, you start asking yourself, you know, am I the problem here?
Yeah.
And I've done that my entire life. Ever since that day, I've always gone, am I the problem? But that stems from when I was young and my parents sent me to boarding school and never contacted me after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the question, I mean, they did contact me, but it was rare.
Right.
You know, and I'm always asking, am I the problem? Was I that much of a problem that people don't want to know? And you spend your entire life going through that to the point where some of those insecurities always raise those questions, and maybe you give off a certain vibe that basically makes people a bit more standoffish to you. You know, but I always wake up with the idea that, yo, you know what? I'm not the problem, you are.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't handle me being honest about situations, you're the problem. You know, maybe you're so used to people sugarcoating everything that when someone comes along and speaks their mind and tells you about you, and you don't like what you hear, suddenly that person's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe if you didn't borrow money from me, for example, and avoid paying it back, and then tell the world that I'm the problem, when really you're the problem for borrowing the money. I think the world needs to have a little bit of a change of, you know, just shift situations where the victims need to stop feeling like the victims.
Yeah.
Right? And the people that are doing them wrong need to be exposed for doing them wrong.
Yeah.
So say, I mean, God forbid, right? Now, you know, I won't bring that one up because that's a bit cold. But say you lend someone 100 grand. Yeah. Something that I've done. So say you lend someone 100 grand and they don't want to pay you back, but they're calling you up and basically saying, you see what the problem is, Blade? It's like when you lend someone your money, it becomes their money. So if they don't want to pay you back, they don't have to pay you back. And then you're making out like I'm the problem. And that's the world we live in. You understand? That's the world you live in.
Yeah.
So when something happens to you for your behavior, you understand. And so what I'm saying is that's what the music world has done to people like us. A lot of negative has happened. We haven't all had the luxuries of being able to tour consistently for 15, 20 years. We've had a lot of quiet moments. We've had a lot of things not going according to plan. Just when you think everything's about to take off, suddenly you're blocked because you said one word that you shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
You know, and who makes these rules?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. You know, imagine, again, we're on, obviously, Chuck D's platform. Imagine if, like, everything that Chuck was saying was blocked.
Oh,
The message that he put out there would never have got heard if he was locked off.
Yep.
You know? But anyway, that's the world we live in now. But what I'm saying is this, the record label basically said if we don't deliver the album by a certain time, then, you know, we're not going to have the album out. So I had to go through the pain and everything to get the recording done, give Mark enough time to basically at least semi-mix stuff before we send it off to Nigel and deliver something to the label that they can hear and say, right, we want to work with this.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened with the album. Mark never, me and Mark basically, I feel like when Mark went on to produce later, he was using the techniques that I had showed him, and you know, he was now producing in a different way to what he was producing 5 years before. You know, but that change happened, in my opinion, overnight. Wow. You know what I mean? It's like it literally happened because we were having, this is what a lot of people are not privy to. We were having these conversations, like literally we were having these conversations almost every night for 3-4 hours. And this went on for a couple of years. Like he would literally call me at 3-4 in the morning and we would have these conversations.
Yeah.
This is, you know, so yeah.
Wow.
Were you ultimately happy with the Unknown album once it was complete? Or do you just think it's okay? Because I was listening to it today, I'm like, this album is incredible.
Okay. Okay. So I feel like if it wasn't for the things that we did before, we would never have got to the album with the Unknown.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's a good album, but I feel like it's like any good album. There's 1 or 2 songs that are amazing, and the rest of it are just like good songs, but they're not necessarily on the level of the main songs. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
Whereas I feel like, if I'm being honest, I feel like the 3 tracks on Lyrical Maniac was probably better than the Unknown. As a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I hadn't done that and cemented what I cemented there, and then followed it up with Mind of an Ordinary Citizen and Forward, and then followed it with Survival of the Hardest Working, then we might never have got to the Unknown.
Yeah.
By the time the Unknown came out, it was a different energy. I was a lot calmer. It was mad though, because I was going through a lot of drama.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to rhyme there, by the way.
You're an MC. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy because I was going through a lot, but at the same time I was able to go back, and because when I started rhyming in the beginning, I was just kind of like lyrical maniac, lyrical. Many people hear it, you know what I mean? And I was using my natural voice. Then all of a sudden, it's like I'm like shouting on tracks. You know what I mean? Yeah, I want to kill the world. Oh, yeah. And in some ways, I lost direction a little bit. Yeah, because I had yes men around me, people that were telling me do this, do that, and I was listening to them. I was young, I was naive. I already had my direction, and it was going really well. And then I started listening to people I never should have listened to. You know? So the one advice I would give to any up-and-coming artist is, when you know you're on the right path, ignore the world, because like once you listen to one person, that's going to put negativity in your mind. You start questioning yourself. Then you'll go to a second person who will tell you something different, and it'll confuse you even more. And then you'll go to a third person to unconfuse yourself and get confused even more. And that cycle never stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. That cycle never stops.
Yeah.
So if you're an artist and you want to, like, you're doing this because you want to do this, why are you then going to ask everyone's opinion about what you're doing is right or wrong? Yeah, just do what you're doing, innit?
Right.
That's simple. Yeah. And if I'd never listened to those naysayers and those yes men and whatever, then I feel like, you know, I would have been on a whole different lane, like a whole different lane.
Yeah.
You know, business wise as well. And I'll tell you why I say that. I say that basically because once the negativity gets into your mind, or people's ideas or concepts of who you should be gets into your mind, you end up spending a lot of time dealing with those demons instead of focusing on making more music and dealing with your business. And now you got less time to deal with your business.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always say, if you spend hours and hours on the phone every single day, you're never going to get any work done. And that's what ends up happening, because now you're calling everyone trying to get some kind of validation for what you're doing. Yo, what do you think? Hoping they're going to say it's dope.
Yeah.
And then if someone says it's dope, you start going, they're only saying that because they're trying to be yes men. So you don't believe them anyway. So what's the point of having the conversation?
Right. Right. Yep. So very true.
Facts.
Yep.
Whew.
Yeah. Well, Blade, we have taken up a lot of your time this evening. Thank you for being here. Is there anything else you want to mention to everybody?
Yeah, I mean, look, I know it's kind of customary for, or most people would just kind of say, like, whoever platform you're on or whatever, thanks a lot and all that kind of stuff. But I genuinely, what I'm about to say now, I mean from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. If it wasn't for people like Chuck D, we would not be doing what we're doing. We all knew about making music. We were making music before we got introduced to PE. Yeah. We all knew that.
Yeah.
You know, we were doing what we're doing. But when we saw the level of success that them guys were having and the energy they were bringing and the shows, we learned how to perform better. Yeah. We learned how to perform better because we watched people like, we were there. We were in London. Yeah. We were, Chuck, you won't know this, but I was also in Switzerland. Yeah. And I saw you performing in Switzerland as well. So I was in Switzerland. And then the very next night, I think it was the next night or the night after, actually, I forget which one, but you were in Brixton Academy and I was there as well. So, you know, like, I went to a lot of the shows. I was at Hammersmith Odeon. I was at Brixton Academy. I was in Switzerland. I forget the name of the venue. And it was always a learning process, you know? And like, I just want to say big up to Chuck for everything that he has done for the scene and everything, not just because I'm on the platform, but because, like, I know if there's one person in this industry that actually gave the UK time, then Chuck is that guy. Chuck D is that guy. He gave the UK that time. He knows more about the UK and what was going on in the UK than some of the people in the UK, than most of the people in the UK. Yeah. And that means a lot to us. Anyone who values hip hop and the craft of hip hop. Yeah. That we value people like that. People who are like not just all about themselves, and you know what I mean? So yeah, just want to big up Chuck D for that and the platform and everything. And obviously big up all of you guys. Ultramag, thanks a lot for making the connection to make all of this happen. Salute to you for everything that you're doing as well, C-Dog. Obviously we've only just met for the first time. I appreciate you making the time for me, you know what I mean? And Flatline, is that your name, Flatline?
Yes, sir. That's
sick. I want that name. Can we fight?
Oh my God.
Yes. No, it's the first time I've met you and everything. So yeah, I like the fact that you're actually trying to hear the stories. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's good. Documenting the stories.
That's why we're here, bro.
We appreciate you taking the time and telling those stories, because they are really priceless.
Yeah.
So I look forward to reading Blade, the book.
Yes.
You know what? If you want to write it, come and live with me and we can make it happen. No, but yeah, people keep saying do the book, but I haven't got that kind of time. I really haven't. So, you know what I mean? But maybe one day, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe one day.
I think it needs to be done. I really do.
There's some good stories.
Listen, there's loads more. There's so much more.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, that quite a few of the stories I've said there, things that happened, I've not said anywhere else. So no one knows about the situation of when I got beaten up and where we could have gone to. If I took myself to the ignorant blade from early days, it could have gone somewhere completely different. But I was a changed person. I wanted to be left alone and get on with my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah.
That's dope, bro.
That's it, really. Because one minute you're moving with a crew of 30, 40 people, all of a sudden you're on your own and people see you more as, like you ain't got your crew no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But before we finish off, there's one more thing. I done an interview and I wanted to get out of the whole scene. And I done an interview. Yeah. And in the interview, I said to them, you can only ask me 2 questions. I'm not interested in anything else. Ask me 2 questions, but ask me what those questions are before you do the interview. And he came back and he goes, look, the 2 questions I got to ask is this. And I went, cool, ask the questions. So anyway, the first question he asked was, what was the worst day of your life in music as an artist? And I said, the day I got beaten up and left for dead. Yeah. And then he goes, what was the best day of your life as an artist in music? And I said, the day I got beaten up and left for dead.
Wow.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes,
sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Fantastic.
strong. Woo.
Good stuff, sir.
And we'll leave it at that.
Thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Blaine.
Thank you for sharing your time with us.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
All right.
Yep. Take care.
You too.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
There you go.
Woo.
Wisdom from an OG.
Yo. That
I want a book,
dude.
and I want a movie that's based on the book.
Right? There it is.
Dude.
We gotta get the book written first. Then
Yeah.
we can have the movie.
He's
Yeah.
the OG out the trunk. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ahead of his time. Man.
Kickstarter, the whole that's crazy.
Yep. Definitely ahead of his time. That was a master class in.
Oh.
There was actually a story he didn't get. I'll tell him for whatever, but I think I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was that record, but he kept on mailing. He mailed the record out to somebody, but the postal service it said fragile, but they would break it, and so the person called him up. He sent another one, and when they got it, received it, it was broken. So he called the postal service and whatever, but he took the train or whatever. He went to Edinburgh in Scotland and delivered the record to the person personally. So that's Blade. That's
that's Blade right there.
That's the type of dude he is.
That says a lot. That tells you a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So anyway, as we were going to do when we were having technical difficulties, Flatline, real quick, you want to run down the hip hop gods?
Let me run this down. There is a world premiere on my show tonight. Rhythm Scholar did his Murder Funk remix of Ice-T's The Power, and it's really dope.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you'll only hear it there right now. And I was going to also mention R.I.P. DJ Clark Kent. I, of course, played, produced or remixed on the show. And that's crazy. New music by Mighty Theodore featuring Casual and Mocha Only. Very dope. New Elvis Sensei, new Terminology and Tech, new Eastsiders, new Beneficence and Jazz Spastics, new Benny the Butcher and 38 Special featuring Busta Rhymes, and some other treats on there. So, yeah.
There you go.
Shout out to Curious.
Oh, word. For the dope shirt.
Magician Esmond. Support Curious. Honest, like how it should be just sold out. Because it's
I'm
Curious.
surprised it's not. I'm surprised it's not.
Yeah.
Me and Doc were talking about it last. So you listened to the album. What do you think about the album?
I think it's dope. I mean,
Yeah.
it's curious. He
It's
can do anything. He can rhyme.
I think
his content is like crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Curious is in like this groove. Like it's almost crazy. I hate to say it because I want to put it like, you remember like when Doom was in that kind of 2004, like when he was putting out different projects?
Yep.
That's what I kind of think Curious is in. He's in this prolific time and he's putting out these different projects. So anyway, that's just what I'm, it's dope.
Yep. You love to see it.
Love to see
Yes.
Love to see the artists.
Yeah.
The guys like that, rhyme vets that are still putting out quality material that they're putting their all into.
Mm-hmm.
They're all into it.
Yep.
May I remind people, Curious and Cut Beatles did Monkey Man, and this album is dope.
Yep.
Also on Weaponized Records.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. He's in a groove. He's putting out some dope stuff.
Putting out some dope stuff. Indeed.
One more plug for Curious. Curious and Rotate. This shit is dope.
See what I'm saying? He's saying what I'm saying.
Yep. There
That's
you
it.
go.
All right, I'm done. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about it more and after the show.
Yeah.
As we always do.
With crackers and cheese.
With crackers and
Crackers
cheese.
and cheese.
Yep.
Crinkle, crackle, crack, crinkle.
If only you guys and Blade's still in the green room. So Blade, if you want to hang out to after the credits roll,
Blade, stick around. Stick around if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
shout
gets
out
silly.
to Jennifer O'Jenny.
Yep. Shout out to the commish.
Yep.
J.O.J.
JOJ in the house. I want to thank everybody for tuning in live tonight. Oh, by the way, go to the Spitzlane Bandcamp and buy one of my tapes so I can sell them out.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah, buy a tape. It's great. There's me as a little kid. There's little C-Dot. Yep, there you go. But
And that's Marcus on the front?
Marcus J on the front. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, go to Spitzland Bandcamp, look up C-Doc, grab an Impossible tape. 10th anniversary remastered, first time on cassette. It's only 25. There's less than that because I sold some. So let's sell them out. Ain't that many. So grab a tape. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Grab a tape.
Everybody, thanks for watching live. Thanks for watching on the replay. Please like and subscribe. And check out I don't know if they ever got back to me, but let's see. Wait, let's see if there's a new body hat. Oh, Body Hat Weekly with Dave Sy and Mocha Only tomorrow night, as they will be going, it looks like, AC Alone's Book of Human Language.
Okay. I might have to sidestep this. That's too much. Maybe they'll give me a different insight because that's a dense, very dense album.
It's a very dense album. Yes. Yep.
But did you see last week? They had
Yeah.
Did you see it, Flatline?
I have not. No.
Oh, last week.
Yeah, Tajay.
Tajay from Souls of Mischief came through, and they went through the Focus album. And yeah, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. So go back. You can go back and watch that. But yeah, join Mocha Only, Dave Sy tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Body Hat Weekly, or catch it on the replay. Also catch Soul Buck, Flat Ultra Mag, and JOJ if she's around, if she's available for the mixtape on Sunday. And yeah. And Flatline, Mr. Chuck D, and myself for the Angie Don't Stop radio show on Friday night. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week for another episode of It's C-Doc again.
Pew, pew, pew. Oh yeah.